I've been following Giacometti since 2009, my first trip to Byler Foundation in Basel, Switzerland, although at the time I did not understand exactly what those skinny little dudes were all about. But after 5 years on researching how graffiti evolved into street art, I had to go back and look at the composition and the relation between Giacometti's sculptures and the physical space, because Giacometti works with putting his figures into space, and street artist or a graffiti artist works with the space and he has to put his art outside. So for me, Giacometti means a lot as an artist, but he also inspires me tremendously as a person. He was crazy, he was whimsical, he was Mozart-like, he was alive, and he was surreal. He did not care. He was an individual, he had his own rhythm, and the way he created his own rhythm was by his own choice of lifestyle. He could afford a bigger studio, he could afford a better lifestyle, but he almost cultivated the purity of simplicity and non-pretentiousness. And to me, again, it echoes a lot with the contemporary graffiti artists. If you look at Giacometti, it's almost echoing Willem de Kooning, that you keep on changing to stay the same. And I think this film is beautiful by really highlighting that aspect of this great artist.
So, how do you like posing?
Oh, no!
I like it. But it makes me nervous sometimes, the way he yells at the canvas.
Foo, huh?
He's only happy when he's desperate.
What are you doing?
Uncomfortable in every part of his life.
Doesn't turn out to be any good. I can give up painting forever. Don't laugh.
Sorry.
He plays this completely sturdy, stable character who is completely mad. And I think it was a fantastic performance. He didn't make a second Mozart. I was a bit nervous about it because it's quite easy to copy Mozart when you talk about Giacometti. Peggy refers to Alberto as one of the Mozart's divertimentos. So for me, I was a bit nervous that would happen, and I'm glad that it didn't. He pulled it off completely by his own.
It's like he's determined to remain completely unsatisfied.
Not completely.
Just
perfectly.
They're not usable.
I have to stop.
Have you always been like this?
Like what?
So doubtful of your own ability. We've been doing this for a while now.
I talk sometimes about the graffiti as 6 million strokes or 6,000 strokes. In fact, we have an artwork called 6,000 strokes because when you think about graffiti, it's one clean line and you fill it up with a fat cap and it's done, but it isn't. It's all of these little lines and molds, and you have to continue doing it. In the stormy winter of December 2015, I have commissioned Suso 33, the father of Madrid graffiti, to help me to paint the wall in Amsterdam West. Just like Alberto had to convince the journalist to sit for him, I had to convince Suso to sit and look at the wall with me. I opened my catalog of the Byler Foundation collection with Giacometti sculptures on the front of it, and I tried to explain to the graffitero that the way he uses his black skinny figures, or as I call them, the black skinny dudes, is exactly the way Giacometti used the sizes and the motion, as he referred to himself, a selection of stills that turn into motion. And what happened at the end is a surreal kind of portrait, because you see that what I call my little Susos or Giacomettis are walking towards each other, creating a head which represents a portrait of Edward Dowdecker's, and you only can see the mural in the ugliest time of the year, in a winter, when the tree loses its leaves. I think he would be very curious about the techniques, because again, the original graffiti doesn't work with many colors. Neither was he. He had 5 or 6 colors in the palette. I think he would be very curious about how the graph developed. And I think we could talk with him about bio art and cyber art and virtual reality art, because he was very much into surrealism. And I think the technology is adding a lot of surreal into the analog art. And I would really like to ask him, after bottle of red wine number 4, if that dude, do you think this is the end of analog art? The film about Giacometti shows the spirit of the surrealism that we only know by the guy with a mustache. And I think it's time to get out, because hip-hop is not only Tupac, and pop is not only Andy Warhol. So I think that surrealism is more, and more exciting, more vibrant, more alive, and something that could only be shown through the interrelationship between the people. Surrealism is not a static picture, and that's why you have to go and see the movie. Tous ceux qui l'aiment bien et moi qui l'aime bien, on va chanter.